And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to an abbreviated yet very necessary edition of Hake's Take, episode 2. We are here at the Kufleitner Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in the, what do you call this room? This is pretty sweet. Is this the conference room?
This is the conference room, the bird's eye.
This is awesome.
The high command center. This is really something in here.
This is it. You can look down about all the cars down on the lot, selling them. You're hot off a deal here. The last Wagoneer, at least on the lot, is now under somebody's watchful eye, I guess.
Yeah, old Melvin took care of that.
Man, those things are sweet.
They are unbelievable, and you know what? We still have we have about 100 new cars here, and that's probably more than most people in the area. And,
it's tough.
John's able to keep pulling in new cars, so God bless him, because he's a living legend.
That's right.
That I can tell you.
We got a lot to talk about, cars being one of them, but football being the other, my friend. And what a weekend in the Valley. 3 out of 4 teams advance. Let's start with that Friday night, that Ursuline game. Incredible against West Branch. 2 superpowers in this area collide. A lot of people, giving West Branch a hard time now, saying they should beef up their schedule. But really, you run into those teams like Ursuline, and the game plan was good from Kenny Harris from the jump. It's just how long can you hang with a team like Ursuline in a track meet?
Well, you know what? Hats off to both those teams. They play great. They both have great seasons, great teams. West Branch had a magical season. That was a magical season. And unless you win the state championship, you lose.
That's it.
You're eventually going to lose. And then you know what? Everybody's going to be a Monday morning quarterback. Everybody knows more than the coach. That was just 2 great teams playing. And Ursuline had a little too much firepower on offense. That offense was really something. That quarterback really is a tremendous player, makes great reads. McElroy is a tremendous running back. Their line was big and strong.
Yep.
And you know what? I think they just wore down West Branch. West Branch had a great season. That's a magical season. You know what? A lot of times I just think we do this too much. You point out where the doer of deeds went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think those were great teams. It was a great game. And you know what? Hats off to Ursuline. Hats off to West Branch. They had a heck of a season.
How do you look at a 13-1 season and look back on it? I mean, I know as a coach, as a player, you're going to say you woulda, coulda, shoulda. But as a fan or someone who looks at these, anywhere from 13 to 18-year-old boys and men, and you say, well, they should have done this. Like, I don't understand the concept. Like yesterday I heard, and maybe you can help me with this because you've put schedules together. How do you go and schedule up and expect that to help you from a standpoint of playing 1, 2, or 3 in those weeks in week 14?
It's a funny thing. Scheduling up helps you at times, and playing good teams helps you. Competitive games. You want to play competitive games.
Sure.
When people say schedule up, that makes a lot of sense when you have a great team.
But doesn't that mean somebody else has to schedule down?
Well, and that's a whole nother conversation. You know what? When I was at reserve, we tried to schedule up, but we had to schedule up the teams that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a scrimmage in Hubbard when they had who's a quarterback that went to Bowling Green a few years ago, and then they had that running back that was he was a big back.
I'm blanking.
They went 9-1. They won 9-1. They beat Girard, and then Girard ended up going to the state championship and beat him and we scrimmaged them, and it was 7-7 at the end of the scrimmage. And I told our kids that's the best team you're going to see all year. Now, saying that, you want to challenge your kids, and you want to put them in positions where they're going to be challenged, but also where they can have success, because scheduling up, and getting your head beat in
doesn't do anything.
Well, what does it do other than hurt confidence? And on the other hand, you want to be in games that you can have some experience, and your kids can say, been there, done that, felt this intensity and pressure, played under this high intensity situations, and we performed well.
Yep.
And or we at least know how that feels, and we can talk about it. And you actually, it's a sixth sense, you feel it. There's a lot of teams in the area, and I'm not downing anybody, but when they don't, when you say scheduling up, Fitch, Boardman, Harding, there's a lot of teams that can play then that don't. And I'm not ripping on them, but when they say to the smaller schools, hey, play up, go play Howland, go play Hubbard, go play, well, there's a lot of teams I feel that should be playing those guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And, oh, well, they're bigger than us. Well, you're Division II, you're 3. You're a 4, go play a 2. Because when they always tell the small schools, the 6 and the 7s, you should play up. Well, what does that mean? Because you go play someone that you can compete against. Because we're Division 7 at Valley Christian. I don't want to go play a division. There's a difference, and I'm not ripping on anybody, but there's a difference between a 5, South Range, and then a 5 Middlefield Cardinal or whatever.
100%.
It's not ripping on those. It's just saying there's a difference. So I'm not jumping to play Kennedy right now, or not Kennedy, but Ursuline.
Mhm.
I'm not jumping to play Mooney.
Springfield, or I mean, what do you like? Who else? Here's my thing is from that standpoint, with the points in place, if you schedule down, there's not a whole lot of points for you if you're a D2, D3, D2 or D3 team. Why would that D2 or D3 team say, "Yeah, we want to play you," when there's nothing? Points are at a premium at this point, and people say, "Well, there's 16 teams in." That's going to get more competitive and more competitive as we go. I firmly believe so. For West Branch and to take heat, and have them say, "Listen, we want you to schedule up." You don't necessarily have to schedule up, but your non-conference games, usually locked in a year or two in advance. Correct?
Yes, and you could get in and out of games. I know they always say, "Well, there's contracts."
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you call the OHSAA, those contracts most of the time are non-void.
Yep.
Non-void. They're not.
Yep.
You can go year to year.
Yep.
And I know people. It's a gentleman's conversation. Hey, I play you once at your place. You play me once at mine.
Sometimes there's a fee to get out, but
there is. Most of the time, there's not.
Right.
Legality-wise, actually, most of the time there is not.
Gotcha.
So and you know what? I've been through this, saying, "Hey, man, this team can't drop us. Say, what's a game?" Well, then they just drop you, and then it's like, "Well, hey guys, don't we have them on the hook for money?" Well, we do, but we really can't find a way to get. It's a funny conversation. Maybe the bigger schools have better lawyers. I don't know. But I do feel that scheduling up is great when you're playing people that you can compete with. Kirtland plays people in their league, and they're not. I know they play a couple games that are. Perry's good. They play Lakeside. But, usually when I look at their schedule, I don't say, "Oh, look, they're playing Fitch." They're not. But they're getting confidence. They're playing teams that they can compete with. And there's something to be said about confidence. When you get confidence, you start believing. You can beat people that everybody's saying you can't win. Well, all you need to do is get the guys in the locker room to believe we can win. It doesn't matter what the pundits say or the people that are pointing out the doer of deeds. Hey, this is where you fell. Because a lot of people right now are saying this is where West Branch did wrong. I think they had a tremendous season. I think they rode the wave as long what is it, another week or two?
Yeah.
That's all you could do.
Yep.
So you're one of the elite teams in the state. I remember at Reserve, we went to the state semifinal twice, lost 22-21, and then we lost 14-10. I don't think about those games. They don't haunt me because we did everything we could to put our kids in position and they played brilliantly. They played heroically.
Yep.
And we weren't beating Marion local either one of those times if we went to the state. I watched, but you know what? You have a chip in a chair and you probably believe, hey, we can win this game.
Yeah.
But, if West Branch would have beat Ursuline, I'm sure they feel they can win the next game, and they're gonna pick up where they left off. I think West Branch had a heck of a season. They didn't have a burner on the team. They didn't have a guy on the team. I went, oh my God, that guy's fast.
And they were relatively young. I mean, a junior quarterback.
They played above themselves. Those coaches did a great job with those kids.
Yeah.
That team really played with a lot of passion and a lot of heroic sense of belonging. And I watched them play Salem live. That was gutsy. And you say to yourself, man, don't worry about where the doer of deeds went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Be proud of the team. Be proud. The whole town should be proud of that team. And you know what? They laid the foundation for something greater in the future. Because now it's very, it's great to be a warrior again. There's a lot of people probably a lot of pride on them. Put on that helmet now, and they did a great job. And hey, hats off to Ursuline. They have a great team. I think they're going to win the whole thing.
I was just going to ask you. We talk about West Branch. We got to talk about Ursuline.
I think they're going to win the whole thing.
Unbelievable. I mean, you talk about Brady Shannon not playing his best game even, but you got guys that are pick each other up through the entire game. And
that offense is electric. The defense is good.
The defense is getting better.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy is that's been the knock on them the entire season. They're going to have to play shootouts with these teams. And now you look at one of the most elite offenses in our area which is West Branch. They're in that conversation, and they pretty much, I don't want to say they shut them down, but they kept them at bay. They kept them at an arm's length pretty much the entire game after the first quarter.
When West Branch started getting momentum, Urson was able to take it away from them.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's what the mark of great teams.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Again, now here's Ursuline plays a different schedule.
Sure do.
And they had some character building games against Fitch and Harding. They won at the last second.
St. V's.
It's St. V's, Villa Angela, St. Joe's. I mean, these are Boardman. I mean, most of the teams in the area ain't going to play Boardman.
No.
And you know what? Boardman might struggle here and there, but they're playing elite teams too. Massillon Jack, they're playing the best, the best of around. I mean, if Mooney was in the Northeast 8, they do well.
Mm-hmm.
If they would do well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying they're going to win the league, but they would do well.
Yep.
If Urson was in that league, they'd do well.
They compete.
I just seem, I'm just a fan. Bring back to SVC.
Oh.
Bring it back because you're playing each other anyway.
It's technically there, but not in the context you're talking about.
Sure.
You're talking about those big teams, the Boardmans, the Canfields, and all those teams coming back in.
I love to see Canfield play Harding. I love to see Canfield play they're playing Fitch and Boardman.
Mm-hmm.
I love to see him play Harding.
Yep.
And
next year you get to see Canfield and West Branch, which I think
is that a game
you want to talk about.
Ooh.
Yeah, look at that. That's going to be nuts.
I think Canfield's one of the better
I agree
programs in this area.
Well, think about Drew DeShields versus Brock Lowry next year. Oh, I think it's week 1, as a matter of fact.
That's cold-blooded.
I mean,
that's
going to be a game.
Cold-blooded matchup.
All right, Ursuline, you say they're going to win state championship. What is the DNA that you feel is that Ursuline has to make
Jimmy's and Joe's?
Okay, simple as that.
Jimmy's and Joe's. And
does the experience?
I'm sure the coach.
Yeah.
The coaching is involved in that. You can't take anything away from
Sure.
Coach Reardon. The guy's been in state championships. He has, but he's played a lot of young guys for a few years. He played great competition, and then now it's paying off. People hate on parochial schools a lot. They feel like they get their kids taken from them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Being in the public system for a long time, that's how you feel. Mm-hmm. And you know what? You talk about it because people don't want to talk about it. Just talk about it. And you know what? You can't hate a school or hate someone because people feel that that's a better environment than the school district that they live in. And this is the age of open enrollment.
Mm-hmm.
This is the age of school choice. And I think it's more accepted today than it has been in the past.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a fundamental difference between open enrollment and Newton Falls and open enrollment,
mm-hmm.
At Ursuline or even where I'm at, Valley Christian, God knows I'm not going out and getting kids.
Yeah.
God knows that. But
you know what? Knocking on your door.
There's a couple kids that came in and said, hey, look, and I went, oh my, look at this guy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you're not going to say, well, don't come here. Why? They feel they're trapped in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel that this is a better way to be educated. Now, I'm not saying right or wrong. That's not for me to say.
No.
I live in Mineral Ridge. My stepchildren, one goes to Western Reserve, and one's going to go to Mineral Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
And my son, I don't know where he's going to go. Probably Mineral Ridge because I live in town.
Mm-hmm.
But if the school system was in bad shape, or I felt the educational process was not up to par, or there was security problems, or why would you not do what's best for your child?
Always.
So you know what? I think that programs fluctuate, things go up and down, and I think Ursuline a few years ago, weren't they 0-10 or 1-9 or something?
Yes, sir, 1-9.
You see, they weren't saying anything about that recruiting when they were 1-9.
Just going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Do you ever get sick of that conversation?
I do. I mean, at the same time, I think worry about yourself. I had 104 boys at Western Reserve in high school. Over 60 were on the football team. Because don't worry about what the other guy has. I taught 7th and 8th grade social studies. I talked to all the 7th and 8th graders all day. I talked to them about the value of being on a team. Not even football. The heck with football, because there's only about 15, 16 football players on any team ever. Anyway, it's about being on a team, being a part of something bigger than yourself, learning how to cooperate with other people, learning how to take orders. And sometimes you don't want to hear it. And then you still do it because it's the right thing to do. And someone's trying to help you out. And I just think that there's so much going on being a part of the team. And you know what? Worry about yourself. Don't worry about hating somebody else, because when you're doing that, you're taking your own energies and your own thoughts away from what you should be concentrating on, and that's your own team and that's your guys. And if you do that too long, you'll find yourself out of a job. So worry about your own. Now, you know what? Don't we all want to have a running back move in town that runs a 11 flat,
Sure.
benches 300 pounds, squats 450? You all want that. Everybody wants that. But you know what? The greatest thing about high school football is not the guys that make all league, not the guys that make all state.
You said this before.
Because there's only 5% of those guys that do that, 10%. It's the 90% of the guys that are on the team that make it go, the engine go, because they want to be on the team, because they believe in what's being taught to them by the coaches. It means a lot for them to put on the helmet representing their community and their school. This is what it's about. It truly is. So, I salute those 90% of the kids that get nothing, because you're the ones that make this go. You are the guys that make this go. You're the ones that make high school football great. You're the ones that make all of high school sports great, because you're the ones that are sacrificing the same amount of time as the guys that are the elite, whatever that means. But you're sacrificing your same time. You're sacrificing the same amount of everything that those guys, and they're getting all the credit. And in the end, if it wasn't for that 90%, it wouldn't go.
You've been in this situation before as a coach. How does the mindset change from going from the regionals to the state tournament?
Everything's just heightened every week. It's a heightened sense of, and
does the pressure come with it?
I think it comes with it, and also experience.
Okay.
Being experienced, knowing how to handle that, it's just another game, but it's not. You know what? You're getting deeper in the dark forest, and the enemies are coming at you. You don't know their names. You don't know those school colors. You don't reckon there's nothing. They're good like you. And as you keep advancing, you have to just stick with the mindset. What got us here? Us believing in this, us playing hard, us, playing fundamental. Because you're not going to see too many teams now that don't play fundamental football, that aren't coachable. You're going to see the best of the best. It's the Final Four. And you know what? Those same teams just got knocked out too. West Branch was the cream of the crop. Whatever happened against South Range Kirtland, cream of the crop. Both those teams. Go ask that NE8 what they thought about South Range. They probably felt they're going to win the state title. Because they beat us like a drum.
There's a lot of people that did.
Yeah,
and they're scratching their head, because everybody said, including myself, if there's any year Kirtland is going to lose to South Range, it's this year. And let's get into that game a little bit.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
You got to watch it, from home, and you're texting me the entire time. I mean, they're the real deal. I mean, at some point, you just have to tip your cap. You don't win 54 games in a row by accident.
No, they're articulate, meticulous in how they attack their opponents. Tiger does as good a job as anybody in the country.
Yeah,
and what you give him, he's going to put you in a phone booth and then go out from there. He's going to put you in a phone booth and then go out from there. And a lot of teams this day and age, they start out here and then they see if they can work it back in. He's the opposite. And you know what? Hats off to him. Hats off to his weightlifting coach. I don't even know his name. The guy lifts the kids 360 days a year. And you know what? Tiger is sick 'em. He allows the guy to lift them. It's his program. It's time. But they have a great lifting program where the kids are really dedicated to getting stronger, getting in great shape, and it shows. I mean, they get splits there on offense, and they maul you, and they want 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It's a death by 1,000 cuts when they play you.
20 kids last year graduated from this program.
Unbelievable.
One of them went on to play college football at John Carroll.
Isn't that perspective? He puts it in perspective. You know what? This is high school football. This is about becoming a better person, being a part of something bigger than yourself, character building, revealing your character. This isn't about you going to college and it's not about that. If that happens for you, great. Yeah, you have the grades, first of all. You have the ability. You had a little bit of luck, injury-free, you know what I mean? But when it comes down to it, it's about the team. It's about learning how to be a part of something. It's a lot. There's so many other things, and I think he keeps it in perspective. And I think that they live in an area of the state where Menor is huge, and if you're not the best guy at Menor,
you could be the best guy at Kirtland.
And I don't know how that all works.
I don't either.
Because I don't know how it works.
People talk about it all the time, but I don't think they know how it works. They're just talking.
But at this point, he's won so much. Hats off to Tiger. Hats off to Kirtland. You're the best of the best. They're probably going to whoop this team this week. I don't even know how they play. God bless them. Ottawa, Glandorf, is that who they're
I
playing?
don't know.
It does it matter?
Nah.
I think they're in a one-way collision course with Versailles in the MAC, and there's a big line, a big back. I am not betting against Kirtland.
No. All right, so we go to one side with Kirtland. You tip your cap to them. The other side, South Range. It's kind of the same situation as West Branch. You know, you have a dream season. You lose 2 games in 2 years to the same team. What do you tell these? I mean, you're on that sideline, and I know how highly you think of Dan, and same over here. What do you tell those seniors, knowing that their last time they ever put on their cleats in a high school football game was the only time they lost all season?
You start the whole conversations with you're so damn proud of them, you know, and the memories that they made will last them for the rest of their life, and hopefully vault them into other leadership positions. They made the community, the school, their families, the area so proud of them. They were the envy of the area. They played tougher competition than most people their size, and they were victorious the whole season. And there is nothing that can take that away. And if you don't win the whole thing, you eventually lose. And when you win as much as they do, it hurts more and more and more and worse and worse and worse. There's nothing to be ashamed of if you're a South Range Raider. And then you tell the kids, the younger kids, this is who we're going to aspire to be. Because if you can aspire to be the way that these guys played, then we're going to be back here. And then we might go on to higher heights.
And that was one of the things that Dan and I text very late, almost throughout the week. And he said that seeing the ball boys look up to the seniors, and seeing these freshmen look up to the seniors and the juniors and sophomores, and the community comes together. Because what you don't understand about South Range, you do, but most people don't understand. South Range is not a town. It's not it's accumulation of a couple of communities coming together under the banner, similar to Crestview and a lot of other schools like we have. Ursuline.
And those schools or those communities are nothing without that school. And I don't say they're not. They're just roads. There's roads. And what ties them together is a school. What makes them together is that school.
Burgundy and gold.
And it means a lot to those people. And it means, and you know what? There's a lot to learn about that. When it means like those MAC schools out, it means a lot to those kids to play for Marion Local and Versailles and St. Henry and Coldwater. It means the world to them. Generations of it.
Why don't we see more of that? With all the success that the MAC has had, and you've seen it. Why don't we see more of the carbon copies over on this side? Is it feasible to take what they've done?
The parents are together.
Gotcha.
The parents are all together. The family unit's structured differently out there. Gotcha. And people don't want to hear some of this stuff, but you know what? Political correctness should be thrown out the window half the time. If you want to talk about things, talk about them.
Yeah.
They have a real sense of family pride there. They did a study, and I can't remember where I saw this study, but the parents are together in, I believe, 90% of the households. And I believe it was Coldwater.
You're saying staying together.
It's a two, and I don't know if that there's a 2-parent home.
Gotcha. Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
That makes sense. Okay.
And I'm not saying that's the perfect way, because I'd rather mom and dad not be together if all they're doing is fighting and being bad role models.
Right.
But to have a 2-parent system or a family together, it's fundamentally different than being raised with one. And I'm not saying it can't
just
be
one less thing to worry about.
It's one less thing to worry about. And you know what? They say there's more pigs in Maria Stein, that area, than because Marion Local is the same kind of thing. But in Maria Stein, the town, there's more pigs than there are people.
Yeah.
So they're farming kids. They get up early, they go to work, and then they go to practice. And there's a sense of discipline. There's a sense of, hey, don't make me call your father.
Responsibility, accountability, all the things we talk about.
You better do what you're told here. I'm going to call your father. That's different. When a kid goes, I'm going to get rang up. I'm going to get murked up when I get home.
Yeah, you're going to milk the cows at 4 a.m.
Oh, you don't want to answer to dad.
Hard pass.
It's a different situation. And I'm not saying it's better or worse. But when you say what's the blueprint of winning, a community structure, a family structure, and a school structure that correlates with values, ethics, it does. And then, you get those magical things that happen. You put yourself in place. It can happen anywhere. You could see it happens anywhere, but for the consistency, it's in places that value hard work, family, responsibility, being dedicated, being committed. And you get that, it starts at home. It doesn't start on TV. I told my kids, don't ever look up to those jokesters in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever look up to those guys. There's a few guys that I'm sure have great character,
Yep.
but don't be looking up to Odell Beckham to be your role model, because you're gonna fall short every time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, look for the guys in the high school. They're here that do things the right way. Might not be all state. They might not, but they do things the right way, and they listen to the coaches, and they're cooperative, and they're good teammates, and those are the guys that you want to look up to. I think South Range has a lot of those guys.
I love it. All right, you talked about the MAC school. 2 teams that are on collision course, we think, with MAC schools, Springfield and JFK, 2 other teams in action this weekend. Let's talk about Springfield first. Bo Brungard just continues to rewrite his legend week after week after week. But what he'll tell you is it's the guys that surround him that make him that good.
Which makes him even that much better.
Yep.
You know, he comes from a great family.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he has a mom and dad that are great role models. They're good people. The dad has all the accolades you need to know about. You know what I mean? And he's been a coach. He's been a player. He has success everywhere. He's a God-fearing man, a God-fearing family. And the boy has just answered the call. You know, he's a younger brother to a few older brothers that probably put him in his place until about a few years ago, and that stopped. I bet that stopped. I think the kid's a God-fearing kid that does things the right way, listens to his coaches, gives credit to the teammates, gives credit to the coaches in the school. You know, when you get interviewed or someone wants to give you credit, you're getting the credit. They're interviewing you. So talk about other
Everybody
people.
else, yeah.
Why take, it's me. Well, it's not you. Talk about the truth. Other people that put you in positions that have the success. That kid is something else. And you know what? All I hear is, oh, he's not tall enough to be a college quarterback. I heard that about Drew Brees. Oh, that guy is a living legend, and he's answered the call. I've seen him play. I've coached against him. And again, I'm going to say it. If I started a team in this area, I'm picking him first. And I'm not mad at someone else picking somebody else first, because there's a lot of guys.
Nope.
There's a lot of guys. After watching Ursuline, I'm mad if you take Shannon.
Yeah.
I'm mad if you take Sherwood. I'm mad if you take Brock Lowry.
Yeah.
I'm mad at that, but I'm going to take Brungard and let the chips fall where they may.
So let me ask you this question, because I don't think he'll answer it straight. Is he, or can you remember a player that single-handedly had as much impact as he has?
Lynn Bowden, Mario Manningham.
Over the course of 4 years.
Maurice Claret. 4 years.
I mean, you're talking about the 3 regional titles.
No.
And
Ben Mock.
Okay.
Kenton. Ben Mock.
Okay.
Matty Mock, maybe his brother. You know, the Mock brothers at Kenton. I don't know, because it's in this area. Nobody.
I mean, I've been
Take you to 3 straight titles.
Well, almost. We're almost there.
Oh yeah, no, you're
Got
right.
one more?
No. You're right. They're gonna mark whoever they carry.
Carey.
I coached with their head coach in the North-South game before. That is a formidable opponent. The big line, strong backs, play good defense, very physical. Farm boys.
Mm-hmm.
Farm boys. Bo's too much. Bo's too much.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, he's too much. I mean, it's, I feel like that now. Can they lose? Sure. Turn the ball over. Play bad special teams.
Are turnovers magnified at this level?
Yeah, everything is.
Okay.
But at the same time, if you're a kid, the point of the coach right now is just go play ball. Play the same ball that brought us here. Dance with who took you to the dance.
Yeah.
Play fundamental football. Don't turn the ball over. Be a good teammate. Be coachable this week. Have a heightened sense of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you're playing football. This isn't this. I know it's the biggest game. It is, but at the same time,
they've been there before, though.
Come on, man. Carey hasn't.
Yeah.
These guys been there.
Those lights are going to be bright for Carey. You have to believe at some point. And Bo would probably tell you at this point, or any of those seniors would tell you at this point, the lights are a little bit brighter the first time you go through. But now this is just another game for Springfield.
Springfield's going to beat them, and then I think Coldwater's going to get beat. And I think they're beating Coldwater.
I love it.
Because I don't think we're going to tell your guys, Coach, at Coldwater. They don't know us. They know you. We play this brand of football. What do they play? They took you to the very end last year, and they got dude back. Now I know they lose people, and they could lose to Coldwater. They could lose to Carey, But I don't. I think that the Coldwater coaches have to approach this thing in a particular way. Also, same thing with Carey. I don't want to put the, cart before the horse, but Carey's going to have to.
But you think this is the storybook ending?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, I
love
do.
it.
I believe that. If I'm betting on anybody, I ain't betting against Bo Brungard. I'm not betting against him.
Okay, so let's put
Now,
all our,
if he's playing up again, they got beat by South Range.
I was just going to ask you, chips on the table. Did you
I
feel the
I
same
bet on
way?
South Range too
Yep.
earlier in the year.
Would you do you feel in week one, after week one?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you were a little bit busy with what you were doing.
Sure.
Did you feel that Springfield was going to be in this point 12, 13 weeks later?
It's easy to sure I did. Now, you know what? No, you know what? It's this. They do a great job over there.
Yeah.
They play in a league that can get them momentum.
Mm-hmm.
They do. They play in a league that
Sure.
can. I played in that league for a long.
You
You
sure
get
do.
you can get momentum in that league.
Yep.
Outcoach. And it's not they're bad. You can outcoach people. You can get your kids riled up, and
Yep.
and everybody doesn't approach football that way.
Yep.
But they played a tough non-league schedule. Brookfield was no slouch.
Right.
Who'd they play the third game? Geneva or something like that.
I don't know. I'd have to go back.
But they're not. There was no slouches. There was no slouches on their schedule. Those non-league games, and playing South Range prepares you. And then if you want to talk about playing up, there you go.
Yep.
And then South Range got better too as the year went on. It'd be great to see them play Week 10.
I was just going to.
Wouldn't that be something to go watch those
great.
guys play Week 10? But no. The team in Springfield, I think, got a lot better as the year went on with experience, getting confidence. Guerrero and those guys do a great job. It's not just Guerrero and Brungard. There's a great staff there. There's a great staff there, and they got their players playing hard, believing, experience. We got all those games the last 2 years. We've been here before, so it's a wonderful thing to see them have the opportunity to do it. And I'm rooting for them. I hope they win the whole thing. Oh no, I hope they win the whole thing, man.
Let's put that on the back burner because I have the last question is going to be about that. All right, JFK, the team nobody seems to talk about around here except us on YSN. Is that because they're so small? Like from a standpoint of the school small, and there's not many kids that actually are there. I mean, their baseball team won a championship with 11 guys, and you look at their football team. Maybe double the size, maybe 22, 23 kids. And they just every week they were down 13-0, Andy, and they came back and won an overtime.
Wasn't that something?
Unbelievable. So
I never watched him until I watched him in that game. And some guy Brown took a couple
Antoine
jets.
Brown.
Oh my God.
Gosh, stud.
I just haven't seen them play.
But let's not count out. We have the Iceman, as we call him, and he's Michael Morrow, number 16 for them.
Man, he was good.
Middle linebacker. I think he's got 5 interceptions as a middle linebacker this year.
He's tough, dude.
I mean, he is.
Their line is big.
Oh yeah, and they're aggressive.
Big,
and their defense is the scrappiest I've ever seen. And I mean, you've still got a kid, Eddie Kiernan, who broke his hand last year, right hand, and learned how to snap with his left.
Isn't that something?
That's mental toughness. How far does that go for these kids who are in that state championship as well? Some people forget about or don't want to discuss it. To be in that state championship, to get that experience, and then have that chip on your shoulder to come back from this area, tells me it gives you a little bit of extra, huh?
Well, their coach does a great job too.
Pro?
Oh, he does a great job with them. And Kennedy, Kennedy through the years, either, again, it's a parochial conversation. There's a lot of people. Public schools are the majority, and majority of the people send their kids to public schools. And Kennedy gets slighted because they're not only parochial, but their enrollment has decreased to the years where they're playing Division VII football. So I think there's a lot of haters out there. Kennedy deserves all the credit in the world for what they're doing. You can't, again, don't hate a team or a school or an organization
because they're successful.
And I've had to learn that.
Yep.
I've had to learn that. It's the age of school choice. And you know what? They don't have 60 guys on their football team. You said they have about 30 guys, right?
Yep.
And they played our apple off.
Yep.
And they're going to have some down seasons. But this is one of their great seasons. And I really thought a lot of their team, man, in the second half, when 99, I mean, Dalton had them all but dead, all but dead. And Kennedy showed so much resiliency and guts. And I thought a lot of their team, just watch them in that game, because Dalton was damn good this year. That team was damn good, and people don't realize how good Dalton was. I think they banged up their quarterback, and he couldn't throw the ball real well. And
physical.
they play ball, man. Them tackles for Kennedy, my God, they're big.
Yeah,
and they play physical, like you said. And I think Kennedy, if I had to pick someone, I'd pick them to go to the state championship too. Who do they play, Marion local?
If they make it to the state championship,
well, Marion's going.
Yeah, so that's who you get. But it's not. Who was it
last year? Forget about it. Go ahead. You got a chip in a chair. Just get there. Just get there. Find a way to get there, and then we'll talk about it next week.
Tell me again. I think they've counted Kennedy out about 14 times this year.
No, already. Right. Okay, Kenny rises up and plays ball. It means a lot for them kids to play for that program. Yeah. They hit. What's one thing against Kennedy? They've all through the years they hit, and if you're not going to hit, you can get upset by them, even if you're better than them. They're going to hit you. They hit you.
You're going to know you played the Blue Storm. Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, when you walk away, you're going to know that you played a football game, right? And you went to war. So,
right. I give Kennedy a lot of credit this year for that. That's a heck of a season.
100%. All right. So from our standpoint, you had to put the chips on the table for you again. How many teams make it through to Week 16 from our area?
I think Kennedy, Springfield, Anderson, all three make it.
Lock it down, boys and girls. Lock it down. Coach says all three get through.
And now they're going to be wars.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's
There's
left
no
now.
blowouts anymore.
No. If someone's getting blown out, Springfield's going to blow that team out.
You think?
I just think as the second half starts kicking in, old Bobo's going to take over. And I think he's going to bring them home. And I'm not trying to down Carey, and I'm not trying to down anybody. I'm really not. I'm a fan of the local teams, and I hope Ursuline and Kennedy win, and I hope Springfield brings home the bacon, and salute to all the teams that were in this year, the tournament, and especially salute the teams that went 1-9, maybe 2-8, 3-7, because they hung in there and they put their best punches up too, and you can't have great teams unless you have some teams that aren't really good. You know what? I mean, you can't have the elite ones. There's a balance, and that's what makes high school football great.
All right, last question for you. The community support that these kids get, these coaches get, these programs get this time of year, is there anything like it?
No. I think that it's magical. Unless you're there, you don't understand it until you're there. And it's nothing against private schools. I'm at a private school. But there's a different sense when you're at a community school and the people live in the community.
Well, and from that standpoint, I guess the better question would be, like, as we shrink down to the last 2 weeks of the season, you see Youngstown kind of adopt every one of these teams.
Sure.
And that's the community support I'm talking about. Like when you guys went, everybody was Western Reserve.
Sure. I remember Massillon side was almost packed.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. The community support, and then you look up and you have so many people texting you from different schools. Hey, we're here.
Different Letterman jackets in the stands.
You see it, and they really want you to do well. Well, they don't want you to do well at all. But you know what? It's really something, and I love Youngstown to bring home a couple state championships every year. Who cares what the school is? When it comes down to it, it brings notoriety to your area.
Yep.
It brings respect. And I'm sick and tired of hearing of the MAC winning all the time.
That's it.
You know what I mean? As much as I respect them and as much as I'm in awe of them, it's nice to have Kirtland around too in Northeast Ohio.
Yep.
And I know it's not Youngstown, but not that far.
No,
and
still our region.
And they play so hard and they have such success that, it goes to show you when you do things the right way and you believe and you have to have some Jimmies and Joes. You don't need them all. Tiger doesn't have them all.
Right.
One college guy last year, but the other guys are buying in, and that's what makes it magical. And then it makes everybody so proud.
That's the coach. That's Andy Hake here on Hake's Take, episode 2, brought to you by Kufleitner, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Special thanks to Johnny Kufleitner for allowing us to take over his conference room here for a little bit. Very cool. Different kind of look to it. We're used to being out on the main floor, but those cars are flying right out of here. So if you're if you're looking for a car or a truck or an SUV or any of those, this is the guy you need to see and his whole team here, including John Kufleitner himself. So on behalf of Andy Hake, my name's DJ Yoakley. We'll see you next week for Hake's Take, episode 3.
America